One of my favorite parts of video games is getting to experience a good boss battle. A great boss fight can take an otherwise good game, make it iconic, or take a great game and elevate it to legendary status. Although a good boss fight will be memorable and hopefully test the player's game mettle, bad bosses will test their patience in a litany of ways. And it's those boss battles that have made this list, the battles that drag the game down. But remember, this is just my personal opinion, and to make things a little more reflexive, I only included games that I have completed on this channel. So if you have a different opinion or have a boss from a game I haven't completed, let us know in the comments down below. And I have completed a lot of games, well over 400, so there's probably some on this list that I am going to leave off because I forgot. Now let's just jump into this awful boss battle soup. Hi, we're just going to take a moment from this video today to talk to you about sleep. If you're anything like me, a human, you need sleep. And that brings us to today's sponsor, Helix Sleep. Helix Sleep has been a longtime supporter of the channel and offer premium mattresses. And thanks to the Helix Sleep Quiz, that mattress that you pick out is customized to your body and type preferences. Not only that, but Helix Sleep ships that mattress directly to your door with free shipping in the United States. And your mattress comes rolled up in a box and is super simple to set up. What's also great about Helix Sleep is that they offer a 100-night sleep trial, and that mattress comes with a 10-year warranty and various financing options and flexible payment plans. Not only have I been enjoying my Helix Sleep mattress for almost 2 years now, but our general manager and my longtime best friend Fraser actually just took a Helix Sleep quiz and got himself a Helix Midnight Luxe with the Glaxiotex cooling cover, and he's been sleeping like a dream. Thanks, Fraser. So if you're looking for an improved sleeping experience, check out Helix Sleep. I love them, and I think you will too. Go to helixsleep.com/thecompletionist today to get up to $200 off your Helix mattress, plus 2 free pillows. Thanks for watching. Back to the show.
Number 10.
There are certain things you can expect from fighting games. Combos, stereotypical characters, and an absurdly difficult final fight towards the end. There are many examples of truly unfair fighting game bosses, but there's one in particular that stands out for me. Shao Kahn from 2011's Mortal Kombat. Now, Shao Kahn has always been a real bastard to fight, but NetherRealm Studios decided to make him even worse. He is beatable at the beginner level, but from easy on up, he can destroy without breaking a sweat. He takes a lot of damage, can break through your combos, and chains attacks together that should be impossible. Now, there's the obvious 2 approaches you can take. 1, spam ranged attacks and pray, or 2, from the very beginning, switch your difficulty. Neither of these are remotely satisfying and just makes me feel like I'm cheating in the end. But all of this is just in the story mode. For challenge number 300, you'll have to face Goro, Kintaro, and Melina before facing Shao Kahn. This means that you'll no way even be at half health when you battle him. None of this was fun. It just felt like everything is out of the player's control, which is one of the most important parts of a fighting game. When it comes to beating Shao Kahn, you Shao can't. That pun was not great.
Number 9.
Dead Rising is a beautiful mess of a game that is admittedly a guilty pleasure of mine. Even though it's filled with game-breaking bugs and glitches, it is a delightful sandbox where you wear ridiculous costumes and use improvised weapons to murder as many zombies as possible. That will always be a blast, but fighting all the different psychopaths is not. Sprinkled throughout the undead residents of the Willamette Parkview Mall are over a dozen people that may have been mentally broken by the zombie apocalypse. In order to survive, you've got to take them all down. What this means is actually trying to master the controls of a game that, to put it kindly, is kind of clunky. If a psychopath is built around firearms, your best option is usually trying to shoot them from afar. The gun controls in the original Dead Rising aren't made for the most precise of aiming. They're made to take down a bunch of zombies. This means that those bosses will be able to damage you while you're working against the controls. On the other end of the spectrum are bosses that are close quarter encounters and are absurdly easy. Just stay far enough away from them and keep firing. There's no middle ground or difficulty curve here. Every battle is either exhaustingly tough or painfully simple. And truth be told, as long as you've got the Mega Man arm buster, everything in this game is cakewalk. Dead Rising is at its most fun when you're just running around, killing zombies, and saving civilians. In my opinion, fighting the psychopaths at times can stop the game's momentum entirely, and sadly draws attention to everything that doesn't work all the time.
Number 8.
There are some games that are chock full of memorable bosses that couldn't be seen anywhere else. For example, could you imagine the Great Mighty Pooh or the Teddy Bear Experiment in anything other than Conker's Bad Fur Day? However, when fights are that impressive, the bad ones are even more apparent. And I've got to say, the final Heinrich boss battle from Conker's Bad Fur Day is one of the worst. Aesthetically speaking, the setup for this boss fight is incredible. After engaging in some fun Matrix-style gameplay, you're now fighting a literal xenomorph, one of the most terrifying creatures ever created. And this has the potential to be a truly epic battle. But unfortunately, Conker's Bad Fur Day doesn't really do anything fun with it in my eyes. You're in Ripley's mech suit ready for a monstrous brawl, but it just becomes the Bowser boss fight from Mario 64. Get behind the boss, grab their tail, spin them around to throw them out of the arena, or in this case, the airlock. There's nothing really wrong with the battle in Mario 64. It just doesn't really work in Conker. Mario 64 is built around maneuverability, whereas Conker's Bad Fur Day is all about explicit and epic moments. Fighting Heinrich is neither, replacing a potential awesome fight with clunky spinning controls that sometimes don't really work that well. The conclusion afterwards is really emotional and wonderful, but it is dampened by the knockoff nature of the boss fight beforehand. I wanted the battle with Heinrich to be Alien Isolation, but instead we got Colonial Marines. Both of those references don't apply to this, but for modern day gamers, that will make sense.
Number 7.
Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair is a beautiful love letter from the Donkey Kong Country game developers. And although the exploration and platforming were top-notch, there was one thing that made completion very miserable for me: that titular Impossible Lair. And the terrible insect presiding over it just made things worse. So Capital B returns as the main antagonist to Yuka and Laylee. But if they want to beat him, they'll have to tackle not just him, but also his lair, which is lengthy and treacherous. So what should be a fairly standard boss fight of bopping a baddie on the head as he introduces new swoops and projectiles to take you out, this fight is broken up over the whole layer, making this a unique instance of a battle in phases that is probably 80% platforming. And sure, if you've got the entire battalion around you, that negates you from taking damage and needing to restart the entire attempt. The Impossible Lair shouldn't be too exhausting, but it still can feel like quite the slog. And of course, as the completionist, I had to tackle this thing without any of the battalion, which, guys, the layer is on average 20 minutes long to clear. Now, I haven't played the game since launch, but I have been told from my friends over at Platonic that they have made this a lot more feasible. So take with it what you will. In the middle of all of this is Capital B, and although you're trying to learn his new patterns for each of the 4 boss fights, death at any point means you have to start the entire level again. This is easily one of the most difficult things I've ever done to complete a game, doing the whole thing without ever needing those B's to help you. It seems real appropriate that his name is Capital B, because this boss fight, albeit a massive stage, is a real bastard.
Number 6.
One of my favorite franchises of all time, obviously, is Mega Man. Whether you're playing the original, X, or even Battle Network, you'll be in for a great time. But there's one infamous boss fight from the original Mega Man series that's stuck in everyone's craw: the Yellow Devil. And you know what? I don't mind it. Yeah, it does have a small weak point, and breaking into individual 19 parts can be hard to learn, but it is possible and feels oh so satisfying to master. Now, my least favorite Mega Man boss is Doc Robot from Mega Man 3. Now, you encounter Doc Robot after defeating Mega Man 3's 8 Robot Masters. It is different from them in that he has the abilities of every Robot Master from Mega Man 2. However, Doc Robot can only use one at a time. That means that there are 8 more boss fights than we've done in the previous game, spread across 4 levels that we've just beaten in this game. I understand that this is supposed to be a nostalgic look back at Mega Man 2, but it just makes Mega Man 3 feel very repetitive. And this is without mentioning the boss rush you'll face right afterwards. That's 24 Robot Masters in one game. Sometimes less is more, and this is one of those times. Also, figuring out which weapons are most effective against each form is frustrating and not as straightforward as they could be. If you could explain to me why the Top Spin and Shadow Blade weapons have an advantage against Heat Man, I'd love to hear it. Although revisiting the Robot Masters in the boss rush tests everything you've learned in Mega Man 3, Doc Robot just feels like padding. It's no wonder Doc Robot doesn't have the title of Robot Master, because it doesn't deserve it.
Number 5.
Borderlands is a pretty bombastic game with wacky characters and hilarious writing. Everything about the franchise just screams personality and separates it from any other first-person looter shooter out there. So that's what makes the final boss in Borderlands 1 so disappointing. You spend the whole game searching for the vault on Pandora, and when you finally chase down the main antagonist to the vault, they're immediately killed by the monster living inside of it. Now, that is cool commentary on greed, but the Destroyer makes for a very underwhelming final boss. The Destroyer is completely stationary and its main attack is waving its tentacles around. All you've got to do is take some cover and shoot the monster until it dies, and well, that's really all there is to it. There's no strategy to this battle whatsoever. It's either going to take forever because the Destroyer is a bullet sponge, or it'll be done quickly because you're unstoppable and overpowered. When it's all over, the Destroyer is just sucked back into the vault and then the game just ends. Borderlands, in my opinion, should have gone out with a bang. Instead, we get a battle that's pretty bland. Luckily, the DLC is incredible, so it does carry it over pretty nicely. But in a game that is everything but boredom, this is the worst way to end things.
Number 4.
There really is no game quite like Catherine. These difficult puzzles play perfectly into the themes of commitment and relationships. However, there is one particular boss battle that grinds my gears, and his name is appropriately Boss. Boss, aka Thomas Mutton, aka Dumusid, is the main man behind all the nightmares that have been plaguing Vincent, our main character. In order to stop it, you have to defeat Boss twice, once in his human form and once as Dumusid. And it's his first phase that drives me nuts. So when I first approach a puzzle, I like to take a moment to see what's in front of me and plan my moves. Boss doesn't give you a single second to do that, constantly kicking you from his chair or shooting at you with his incredibly long revolver. Not only can that revolver kill you in an instant, but it destroys the block it's aiming at as well. This makes for a truly miserable experience on your first couple playthroughs. While yes, this reflects the stress that Vincent is supposed to be going through since he's growing as a person, the increasing loop of trial and error and often near instant failures wears on you. It's such a bummer that after going through so much, this final encounter will always screw with me. And I wouldn't fault players for getting so frustrated that they look up the different endings on YouTube just to say they never had to play this game ever again. And if I'm being honest here, this is a boss battle that has given me PTSD. The first time I completed Catherine, I was stuck on this boss fight for 3.5 days. And when I finally beat it, my PS3 froze. I had to reboot the entire level again and just knock it out. They made it much easier in the most recent Catherine remaster, but in the original game, oh God, was it awful.
Number 3.
If you want the best superhero experience in video games, you have to play the Arkham series. Not only do they have an amazing atmosphere and gameplay, the game is actually about using Batman's intelligence and detective skills instead of a beat 'em up with a Batman coat of paint. When I first played Arkham Asylum, I was blown away by the overall experience. And the only lowlight for me was the boss fights. When you have a rogues gallery as varied as Batman's, every boss fight can be unique and terrifying, but that's sadly not the case here. There are 11 total boss fights, and all of them except for one are boring and repetitive. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna do a top 10 within a top 10. Here's my top 10 worst boss battles in Batman Arkham Asylum. Here we go. The Scarecrow. He just hits you with fear gas and you have to navigate a level where a giant scarecrow tries to kill you. It looks cool, but it feels more like a stealth level than a boss. The Scarecrow. Again, the Scarecrow. A third time. Titan Henchman. When he charges you, throw a batarang at him and dodge so he hits a wall. Beat him up, repeat until you win. Titan Henchman. Again, see number 7. 2 Titan Henchmen. See 6, but do it twice. 2 Titan Infected Guards. See number 5. Bane. Throw a batarang at him when he charges you, dodge so that he hits a wall, beat him up, repeat until you win. Sound familiar? Titan Joker. Dodge his attacks until he leaves. Defeat the wave of thugs. Hit him with the back claw when he turns around to gloat, and repeat 2 more times. Killer Croc. When he charges you, throw a batarang at him, and that's it. The only boss fight that is worthwhile in my eyes is Poison Ivy. Yes, you're dodging her attacks and throwing batarangs again, but this time she's in a giant plant that is attacking you from afar, and you get to hurt her shield's explosive gel. It's not just another big muscular goon that has the same pattern as everyone else. It's a battle for survival against Audrey 2. Other than Ivy, all of these boss battles kind of stink. The great news is that Rocksteady Studios learned from this and put some really cool boss battles in the later games. I'm looking at you, Mr. Freeze. However, bat battles in Arkham Asylum leave a blemish on an otherwise perfect game.
Number 2.
With the massive success of Elden Ring, Soulsborne games are more popular than ever. Their weighty controls and intense difficulty make defeating every creature and boss feel remarkably rewarding. And when a series has as many magnificent boss fights as this, terrible ones really stand out. And in Dark Souls, that awful boss is the Bed of Chaos. Alongside a bed made of Legos and Deathbed, the bed that eats, the Bed of Chaos is up there with some of the worst beds of all time. In a game that is all about learning boss patterns and trial and error, this is a boss encounter that pits you more against the pits in the arena itself and a little bit of dumb luck. While you battle the Bed of Chaos, you will prompt the floor to give out underneath you, and ultimately you will realize you're required to platform along routes in order to vanquish this pain in the ass. And for those of you who've played any FromSoft game know, platforming is never your friend in these titles. This becomes an exercise in precision, patience, and a little bit of dumb luck, as the bed can swat you off to your death at any given moment. And sure, dying in one-hit fashion to a FromSoft boss isn't a novel concept. Run back to the boss isn't a novel concept. But no other boss asks you while you trudge back to the fog gate to simply hope that this time you'll get lucky and the tentacles don't swat you into the abyss. Look, I love Dark Souls, and I think it's a wonderful game that really tests the player. But the Bed of Chaos goes against everything that Soulsborne games have built themselves around. And when I finally beat the Bed of Chaos for the first time, I didn't feel like I triumphed. I was just relieved, but I didn't have to do it ever again. And then I did have to do it ever. I did because of New Game Plus. I've done it several times since then, actually. But you know what I mean.
Number 1.
There are multiple reasons why a boss fight can be bad. It can be made difficult to the point of being unfair, way too basic, or maybe the devs took a risk and didn't work it out 100%. Sometimes a game is just broken and that brokenness is unavoidable. This is the case with Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 and its most infamous boss battle, Silver the Hedgehog. Silver has telekinetic powers, meaning he can grab objects to throw at you or just grab you. This will knock you to the ground and make you lose all your rings, and once you're on the ground, he can grab and throw you again, and then the boss fight is over. This is obviously cheap and works against what you've been taught about Sonic in every other game so far, which is that you've got a homing attack or spin dash something to hurt it. If you do that here, Silver can just catch you and end the whole battle in the blink of an eye. This gets even worse when Sonic 06 does what it does. It glitches out a lot. Sonic can get thrown into a wall, lose all of his rings, but then he'll pick up a single ring as he gets grabbed by Silver again. This will get you stuck in an infinite loop of not dying, which means you'll have to quit the level and come back again. And if you don't know what to do, this can feel impossible. However, there is a workaround. Instead of rushing Silver head on, run to the side. As soon as he picks up the other objects, you then homing attack him. This should work out, but can result in Silver grabbing Sonic and throwing him to his immediate death. Like I said, I'm pretty sure everyone saw this coming, but the Silver boss fight is infamous for a reason. It's no use. It's the worst boss battle of all time. And that, of course, is Silver the Hedgehog from Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Hey, thanks for watching today's video. I know it was a weird one. I wanted to get a little weird with it. I think calling this top 10 worst boss battles is kind of a mistake, because more just like, hey, here are 10 instances where the bosses could have been better. They're not the worst by any means, but they definitely feel the worst in the context of their games. Thanks for watching. Let me know what yours are in the comments down below. I'll see you all next time. Bye.